Professor Catherine Acholonu is a professor of African history and former Fulbright scholar writer in residence at the Westchester Consortium for International Studies, New York, United States of America. She was special advisor on culture to a Nigerian president and presently the country ambassador of the Forum of Arts and Culture of the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. Mrs. Acholonu was crowned Adi-Igboji Ejemba by the royal father of Igbo in recognition of her path-breaking works on African and world history from an Igbo case study perspective. The Lost Testament is her 18th book.
I've done nothing different from what you do every day. The only difference is that I put together the works that the great minds from our country have done. I've put together the works that people have done from outside the world, from different disciplines, and I've come to be able to draw conclusions that reveal lost history of our people. I've gone beyond Nigeria to look for the history of the African. I've gone beyond Nigeria to look for the prehistory of our forefathers. I've gone beyond Nigeria, beyond Africa, to look for mythologies that involved our ancestors. And I've been able to come back with a mine of information gathered from 1990, when I was Fulbright scholar in New York, to this very day I'm still doing research. I learn every day, and I learn from everything. I pay attention to everything that I see. When you make the audio ritual, I listen with all my ears and my eyes and my mind, so that I will not miss a single trick. This is how I learn. I was taught that nothing is unimportant. I was taught that very early. So I observe my environment and I learn from places you won't imagine. I thought I was going to be talking to a mixed audience of students and staff, and I was worried as to how I was going to communicate what I have, because many might be at sea. But now that I see that I'm talking to faculty, if you permit, I would like to read some of my paper, maybe then talk some. Before I start this paper, I'm inspired to give a little introduction to my work. We have 3 books here. The first book we wrote on this research is titled The Gram Code of African Adam. The second is titled They Lived Before Adam, Prehistoric Origins of the Igbo, They Never Been Ruled. The third, published this year, is titled The Lost Testament of the Ancestors of Adam, Unearthing Heliopolis, Ibuku, the celestial city of the gods of Egypt and India. The full title of the Gram Code is Stone Books and cave libraries, reconstructing 450,000 years of Africa's lost civilizations. I start with the Gram Code. The Gram Code and the Lead Before Adam and the Lost Testament. In a nutshell, what do we have there? He and his team discovered that the stone implements at Ugwe were the exact same implements you find in every other place where Homo erectus have lived everywhere in the world. And the amount of stone implements they lifted from Ugwe filled more than 8 lorry loads, which means, and there's still more there, which means that this was, they concluded that this was the place where the greatest amount of stone implements had been found in any single location anywhere in the world. And they also concluded that Ugwele was the one-stop shop, the industry, where Homo erectus tools were being produced and being distributed in different parts of the world. Who was it that lived in Igbo land by 500,000 BC? Our historians have said that they were not Igbos. That is not true. We would have been tempted to agree had it not been that everywhere we looked, we found that a people speaking the Igbo language had lived there else. Everywhere in the world. A people who spoke the Igbo language and wrote it on stone had lived everywhere. Those stones are still there with the writings. And they are being translated and interpreted and transcribed by foreign researchers. But no one has been able to translate. They've been transcribed from stone to normal legible letters. But no one has been able to translate the language in which they are written. It was in the course of our research that we stumbled on this dilemma on the internet. And we downloaded most of the transcriptions of these stone inscriptions, which they call Ogam, O-G-A-M. And we were able, for the first time in history, translate those writings. And we found that they were Igbo. They were written in Igbo language, and the information they contained were mostly Igbo proverbs, Igbo wise sayings, prayers to the Mother Goddess, curses, and so on and so forth. We had to break away from what we were doing to go into Ogam translation. And today, people are sending us inscriptions on stone from different parts of the world for us to translate. So one of the people who is sending us material has been also distributing the materials on the internet, sharing them with people who are doing Ogam research in every part of the world. And he says, the specialists in Ogam have been unable to translate Ogam. But whenever I send a stone inscription to Catherine, under 24 hours, she gives me a translation. And he has asked me to now, they've asked me to bring out an Igbo dictionary, an Igbo Ogam dictionary. Ogam is written in vowel, consonant, vowel words, like Ama, Igbo, Aka, Onu, and so on. They had the original researchers had said that Ogam was a Basque language of the Sahara. No one cared enough to look to West Africa. So we came out to announce that Ogam was Igbo and was written by Igbo people, were written by people who spoke the Igbo language and were thinking in Igbo and were saying Igbo, making Igbo statements. It was a bombshell. So you can download, you can Google Ogam on the internet, you can Google Ogam, and if you like, add my name to it, you'll get some materials. Some of our translations will intrigue you. We would like to see our people joining in this research, joining to bring out information. People are looking for Igbo dictionaries today because of the Ogam translations we have done. People are now interested in reading, studying Igbo as a language and as a culture because of the research we have done. We've been able to, on our own, we did a 400